Hello everyone, and welcome to figure drawing session number 15. In this video I'm gonna try to use figure drawing reference photos to draw 8 different poses for an anime figure. So I'm gonna use the reference photo but change the pose a little bit and try to create a pose that I want to see. So I'm not gonna copy the reference photo 100%, I'm gonna use it as a anchor point and go from there and try to discover and create different poses from it. I actually did this before with Tracer from Overwatch. I have a video on that, and I also did this for Aloy from Horizon New Dawn. I did this for the final painting, and I did a couple of studies of poses before I did the final painting. But in this video I'm gonna try to use the figure drawing to create an anime character. So it's gonna be a bit different. The proportion gonna be a bit different. The outline of the figure gonna be more simplistic than a real life character. I'm not gonna take every pose to the final detailed state. I'm just gonna explore these figure drawings in different ways. So my goal in this video is just to create a base point for the character that I can take and use in any different paintings that I want. I can take a character from here and just add a background for it, add more details, and I will have a final painting to show. But in this session, I'm just interested in creating the character itself in different poses. So with that said, let's start first with the step number 1. The first step is to create the mannequin I'm gonna draw the character on. I want to start first with understanding the character I want to study before I go to the figure drawing poses. So to do that, I'm gonna start first with the mannequin that I'm gonna draw the character on. So these are different than the usual character proportion because this is anime. So the face is gonna be smaller in the feature side and more pointier in the bottom. And I'm gonna do this very fast to draw the character on top of it when I'm done. And I have the reference photos for the character I'm studying so that it will inspire the mannequin I'm drawing underneath it. So this is basically a character sheet. I'm studying the face in different angles and then the whole body in front and side. And from there I'm gonna start doing the figure drawing studies. So as you saw, I'm doing the full body in a 6.5 head proportion, not the 8 head as usual. The anime characters tend to be thinner and shorter than the normal figure proportion. And when I'm done with the front and side of the body, I can now start studying the details of the character on top of them. And I'm gonna have a whole video on how to create a character sheet from a reference photo, and hopefully in the third book, maybe in the second or third chapter. You can simply put the photo of the character on the side and just reconstruct the features, the main characteristics that make this character the way it is in a different angle. And once you made the character sheet correctly, you can now pose the character any way you want. So now I'm starting with the character face in front view. Now even that the reference photo isn't in front view, I can still make adjustment to make this as technical as possible. So you can just have an idea of the character in different view. So this way you can just create the character as if it's looking straight forward. And using different photos is very helpful to see the other sides that you can see from one photo. Now I have been a fan of Captain Tsubasa since I was a little kid, so I did draw him before in a sketchbook video, a quick video, but I'm really enjoying this one because I'm doing this just for fun. It's not for a project or anything, but it's a really good practice to study your favorite anime character and then pose it the way you want. It's just a great feeling that you can control this character the way you want. And to do so, you need to study the character first and understand every single special feature in it. The way the eyes look, the way the nose, the mouth, the hair, the clothes, all of it. And once you do that, as I said, you can turn it any way you want. And now I'm doing the side view, and I realized that when I'm doing this figure drawing, the first 2 or 3 didn't work out correctly because I didn't practice it long enough. And you can see after the 4th and 5th poses, I started to get better and better. So if you are doing this and you're trying the first pose and it didn't look correct, it's okay, that's normal. Try 5, 6, 7, maybe 10, and you're gonna find out that you have the whole character in your mind, and you just need the reference photo to help you with the pose and the anatomy itself. So once you do the anatomy and the figure study, you can now change it and shape it any way you want. And now I'm doing the character in the 3/4 view, and this is probably the simplest one because every reference I found was in this angle. Okay, now we are done with the head. Next we're gonna do the body. As for the body, it was a bit tricky to find the reference photo that is 100% in front or side view, because the angle in the show itself were mostly extreme angles, either from the top or from the bottom. You almost see the whole series shot from a camera following the ball itself and looking up at the character. So this was a bit tricky, but it worked out after all. But again, I'm not trying to make a full detail painting here. I'm just studying the parts of the character so I can use it afterward. And now doing the side view of the body. Now in a character sheet, you should remove the arm itself away from the body and do the costume behind it, so the 3D modeler can actually use it as a reference. But since we are not doing 3D models, it's okay to leave the arm as it is. Okay, now I thought to add some colors on top of the drawings and maybe do the same for the figure pose that I'm gonna do afterward. So I need to see the main colors that are used in the series itself and then apply it afterward to the figure drawing. But again, I'm not taking so much time with it, it's just basic colors without any light and shadow, just to add a little bit of flavor to the study. And there we are, the character sheet is done. I have the head, I have the body, and now I can study the figure drawing preference in a whole different way. So let's do that next. Okay, now I have the first reference photo and I'm doing the figure drawing first, and right there I'm starting to change the pose itself. I'm not drawing the pose as it is. I want to draw the pose that I want to see for the character. So it's very easy to change the pose in the early stages of the pose instead of just doing the whole pose in details then changing it afterward. And I'm not worrying too much about the final detail of the figure drawing. I'm just using it as a mannequin to draw the character on top. So as soon as I have the basic shape of the pose, I start right away with the character on top. And I'm looking at the character sheet that I drew earlier to take my cues of the parts I need to draw the character on this reference photo. So I'm looking at the shirt, I'm looking at the shoes, I'm looking at the hair, the features of the head, and then just try to do the basic shape of these features and then finally adding the details later on. But again, I'm not here to do a fully detailed character. It's just a basic step for me to have options for my final painting. Now I'm not gonna do a final painting, but if you want to do a final painting and you want to study some poses, this is a great way to do it. Not to mention that you can see your favorite character in a pose you chose for it, instead of just copying it from a pose you see online. And this is the first pose. The character I draw have the same pose of the reference photo on the left, but it's completely mine, you know. I didn't actually take the whole thing of it. I took the spirit of the pose and then changed the hand and the legs the way I want them. And once I do that, I just take the colors from the character sheet and apply them to the drawing I just did. And there it is, we have the first pose done. It's not very good to be honest, but that's the first trial. You need to warm up before you finally click and come up with great poses. So the first 2 or 3 are always bad. So don't worry about them. Just don't try to fix them or anything. Just keep going, keep drawing and keep making more characters, and by the 4th and 5th it will get better and better. So now the next pose, again I'm changing the arms a little bit and also the legs. Even the proportions aren't 100% like the reference photo. Remember, this is not a real character, it's an anime. So the head will be bigger, the arms will be thinner and so on. And don't forget to mirror the character once in a while so you can see it with fresh eyes. Especially if you are drawing on the same angle for too long. You need to mirror it to see it from different angles. And once the basic figure is done, I start adding the details. I'm also changing the expressions on the face itself and trying to get the sense of the pose emotion in the character. So if he is about to shoot, it's a bit more intense than it's just running in the field and so on. And now to add some colors to it, the basic colors. Don't take too much time on this. Every character took about 30 to 40 minutes drawing and coloring. Don't take more than that. You are creating ideas, you're not creating fully detailed painting here. And this is the second pose. Again, not that good. Let's see how we do with the third one. Okay, with the third one I'm trying to again capture the spirit of the pose but change a little bit in the position of the arms and legs. Because I think I saw the show like 10,000 times. I know the way Captain Tsubasa jumps and changes his body. It's not realistic. It's more like an exaggerated body language, you know. You are shooting the ball with everything you can, with your whole body, with energy of the universe. So you need to exaggerate your poses as well. And you can use that with your character. If you have a certain understanding of your character, try to apply it to the pose as well. And as you can see, the figure drawing portion of the character is getting less and less with every pose I make, because I'm trying to get to the character faster. And the figure is just a mannequin I need to build upon. And by the end of this, you're gonna see the figure drawing part took about a minute or two, and all the focus was just on the character itself. So it's a good sign that you are not relying too much on the figure and doing more on the creating side. so the pose is a bit different, but yeah, I like this one more than the first two, to be honest. So I think my brain is starting to work better with every pose I do. So this is the third one, and I really like this one more than the first two. Okay, on to the next. And right away you start seeing that I'm changing the gesture itself right away. Even before I do any part of the body, the gesture itself is changing to fit what I want to see in my character. So I'm trying to rotate the body itself to the left more, and the arms are way up, like he's shooting with the upper part of the body twisting to the right and the lower part twisting to the left. It's a very hard and awkward pose, this one, and I don't think it worked that well, but it was very good to draw nonetheless. This is all good exercises. As long as you are not copying, it's always a good thing. And you can see I'm struggling with this pose. I took the longest time on this one, just trying to make it work, but it's very hard to get the twist, especially that I'm not looking at the reference photo anymore. When I'm finally happy with it, I start putting some details on top. And finally you add some colors. And we call it done. On to the fifth. So this one is more of a celebration instead of in-game shot. So the face itself gonna look more happier. The expression will be happier. And I'm trying to change the arms a little bit, but then I decided to leave it as it is because the pose itself is really good. But I did change the legs a little bit. So you just keep trying, cutting, rotating, resizing, scaling. Do everything you can to find the idea that you are looking for. This is a great practice to just be free of the reference photo. That's the most important thing. The whole thing is to just break free from copying. And with the final 4 or 3 poses, I barely even looked at the reference photo. Just took the spirit of it and went with the idea that I want to do in my head. Also, another thing to be careful of, you need to remain constant with the features itself. Try your best to make the character look the same on every pose. I think I failed miserably with the making it constant, but you can still tell it's the character itself in every pose you see here. So that's something you need to pay attention to. It will help you later on to make like 20-30 character poses or expression and make everyone look exactly the same character. And to do so, you need to practice more on the character sheet to recognize the size of the eyes, the size of the mouth, the shape of the mouth, the shape of the clothes or the armor, just to make sure you are doing the same thing over and over without changing the character every time. And this is the fifth one. Now to the sixth. Sorry I didn't find any reference photo for Neymar because most of his photos is just like this one, rolling on the floor. So I found it really funny to make a character out of it. Even though Captain Tsubasa did get injured in the anime, but it was his shoulder instead of his leg. But it was really funny to do this one, and I really liked the look of it afterward. So try to take risks with these exercises. You're not doing it for a client, so just try things. Try weird reference photos. It doesn't have to be a professional reference photo from Pinterest. Or just find a pose in a movie or a pose in a video game and try to recreate your character on that pose itself. Or even take a picture of yourself or your friends and try to make a character out of it. And this is the final pose. I really liked it, it's really funny. And even the expression on his face fit the pose perfectly. On to the next one. And as you can see, I'm just doing a stick figure at this point. I didn't need the whole figure study. I'm already in the character after the stick figure. And I'm changing the way his legs look like, because I want him here to look like he's jumping over another player. So like he's jumping in the air and his legs going backward, like he's jumping up instead of jumping horizontally. But I'm taking the spirit of the pose itself and doing the character that I want. By the way, this is a study video, not a tutorial video. So if you find it hard to follow or anything, remember it's not a tutorial video. Just think of it as a study video with commentary on top. But I'm gonna do much more on this in the tutorial series in the third book. So hopefully we will talk more about it in later videos. And this is the final pose. and I'm changing the right leg to go behind the left leg, like he's maneuvering against another player. And I think the most problem I had is with the shoes for some reason. I have a problem which my art teacher told me once, that my hand and feet are always smaller than it should be. And I still have this problem till this day. I draw the hands and feet a bit smaller, and I always need to resize it when I'm done. And I think I need more anatomy study. I think I did over 100 or 200 on every part of the body, and maybe 20-30 on the feet. So I think I need more studying to do on the feet itself. Maybe I'll do a whole video just on feet, drawing a foot in different positions. And I'm also trying different expressions on the face, maybe angry, stressed, happy, and pain. Again, just having fun. I'm trying to make every figure drawing video I do different than the other one. If not by subject, in application. If not application, by the way I do it. Because doing the same thing over and over and over, it gets really boring afterward. I mean, I want to draw a 1000 pose, but it will be really nice to see 1000 different, completely different poses in one sheet when I'm done with all this. And this is the 8th pose and the final one, and here is the final sheet. And as you can see, you can still tell it's the character itself, even if it's not 100% fully detailed. Now I can take any of these poses, put it on a different canvas, and start doing a whole painting on top of it. I can add a background, I can add a different character, and just make it a final painting. And here the reference photos, and these are the character inspired by them. So this is completely not a copy session, but a creating session. My brain was active 100% on every part of the process. And this is where you get better drawing. When you start creating, when you start changing, modifying, resizing, and creating the characters that you always want to create, even by using the same reference photos. This is something I didn't do for like 3 or 4 years, just completely copying. And I gained more knowledge with this one session than I did in all these 3 or 4 years of copying. So I hope this inspires you to do a session of figure drawing on your own, creating your own character and applying it on top of these figure drawings. So I hope you find this video interesting, and I hope you do it yourself. So before I go, I'd like to thank my Patreons who donated to this channel. If you'd like to donate to my channel, please go to patreon.com/rainwalker. Thank you all for your generosity. Thank you for watching this video. I'm working on a different video as we speak. So this is one of the filler videos in between the big tutorial videos. So hopefully I will be able to finish that by the end of this week or the next week. Until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.